Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Vicious here. Today I'm coming at you with a pretty short tutorial about virtual audio cable. This is not going to be showing you particularly how to use the program. This is for people who have been using the program for a while and want to learn a really neat trick that might make your life a lot better. So I'm pretty new to it. I started doing live streams and stuff, and this program name happens to come up quite often in the streaming community because it has so many uses for recording and for streaming. That aside, I'm sure if you've been using the program, you've been using these things right here because these are the core of the program. These audio repeaters are really what brings most of the feature and function to virtual audio cable. Now there's two kinds of audio repeaters. I want to let you know this. I'm sure you already knew this, but I'm going to just double check. You have the audio repeater exe and the audio repeater _KS exe. This first one here uses MME and the second one uses kernel streaming. Technically speaking, kernel streaming is better than MME, however less compatible. I've run into some compatibility issues and I find that I often have cracking or popping in my audio. So due to that, I pretty much went back and I only use this one now, despite the idea that this is technically better. So I'll be using that in the tutorial, but if you are using the other, it still works the same way. The primary thing I want to let you know that is different is here is the MME. I'll select say VAC line 1 and VAC line 2 as my input and output. If I go and I launch the kernel streaming, let's see here. The kernel streaming repeater using the same input and output has a different name. Virtual cable 1, virtual cable 2. This one's called VAC 1 virtual audio cable, VAC 2 virtual audio cable. When it comes to what we're about to show you, these names are very important because you want to put in exactly what's displayed here. So what am I going to show you today? Hopefully you kind of knew that from the tutorial name, but basically I'm going to show you how to launch these repeaters automatically through a bat file rather than having to set them up manually every single time. Check out this folder I have here. All the repeaters I need to use are now here, so I can just double click and launch them. I have my line in to virtual audio cable 1, my MMX 300 microphone to virtual audio cable 2, cable 1 to my HDP DAC, cable 1 to my headphones, cable 1 to cable 2, all this stuff. Instead of having to run in here every single time I want to use these and manually setting them up, I can just double click on a file. That is what I'm going to show you how to do. How do you do it? Well, you just make a bat file. Let me show you how to do that first. Basically, a bat file is nothing more than a text file that has been told that it's an executable type file. I'm going to create a new text document like this one here, and I'm just going to name it test stuff, and here's the part where you want to do save as, and if you name it test.bat and you add that extension on there, when you save it, instead of getting a text file, you now have a bat file. And if you double click on a bat file, it runs what's inside of that text file. And if you go to right click and edit, you'll see the text file. So there you go. So I'm going to open up one of these bat files to show you how I put it together. I'll show you this line into VAC 1. Start, because we're starting it. /min is going to be minimizing the repeater once it starts. Audio repeater is what we're running. If you were going to be using the kernel streaming version, make sure you put the _KS under there. Then you're going to need to know the path to your exe, so type in your full path. And again, if you're using the kernel streaming, put the _KS on there. Input flag, it's /input : space, in parenthesis put the input. Here's your output, same way. And here's some of the settings. I'm using the buffer in milliseconds to be 50, the number of buffers to 8, and I have it set to auto start because I don't want it to just start and then not, or open and then not start. What flags can you use? It's kind of impossible to find on the internet. I actually could not find it by searching, but I found it directly in the documentation that comes with virtual audio cable. You have input, output, sampling rate, bits per sample, channels, buffer. You have all this stuff you can use, okay? What I highly recommend you do is not just directly copy what I have. except for the necessary stuff like, you know, what you're going to be running, the path, the input and the output. But go ahead and set up your repeaters like you always would and test your settings that work for you, like your buffers and your buffer time and your channels and bits. Set up everything the way you normally do, and then figure out what flags you might need to put in here to duplicate that. Once you've got it all set up though and you save it, you can do it automatically. So here's, I'll go ahead and show you. Don't want to save that. I'm going to close all these repeaters out. So I have none running, and if I double click this bat file, just like that, I have my line in and virtual audio cable 1 repeater running and set up exactly as I had it, with a 50 millisecond buffer and 8 buffer count. So that's how you do it, guys. If you need more help, just drop me a line on the video and I'll try to help you out with it. The most important thing that I think this video probably showed you, besides just the idea that you can do it, is the idea that you want to look at the streamer, the repeaters names inside of the actual program instead of trying to find them in Windows, because that's a headache and it doesn't work. And I think that's it. So I have more virtual audio cable tutorials coming soon as far as practical uses for the program, but I wanted to start off with this advanced tutorial for those who are already using it first, since I think this is such a great thing to know. So I'll see you guys later in other tutorials, and I hope to see you online. Vicious signing out.